I'm looking at the empty chair. I'm looking at the picture on Facebook when my phone buzzes with a text from Michael's lawyer. It's the divorce papers. Finalized. 2 months since everything fell apart. The photo was posted by Michael's mother the day of the ceremony. Fort Bragg Parade Field, 11 in the morning, early July heat shimmering off the asphalt. There's Michael in his dress blue standing at attention, that slightly uneven stance I'd learned to recognize, the way he compensates for the prosthetic without making it obvious. General Miller is pinning the Purple Heart to his chest. The metal catches the sunlight, and there, in the VIP section, right next to his crying mother, an empty chair. A white folding chair with a printed sign taped to the back. Reserved, Mrs. Jessica Vance. I should have been in that chair. Instead, I was at Ryan's apartment, 5 miles from base, telling myself I couldn't do it. Couldn't sit there and watch Michael play the hero while I suffocated under the weight of being the dutiful soldier's wife. Ryan had asked me that morning, pulling on his shirt. Shouldn't you be at the ceremony? Not really caring about the answer. I can't watch him play hero today, I'd said, and I'd stayed. Michael found out 3 hours later. He came home early from the reception, still in his dress uniform, that medal on his chest, and tracked my location on his phone, find my iPhone, the app I'd forgotten I'd ever shared with him. He drove to Ryan's complex and knocked on the door. When Ryan opened it, I was standing behind him in yesterday's clothes. Michael just looked at me. Didn't yell. Didn't even come inside. He looked at me with those eyes that had seen Fallujah, that had stayed conscious while a field medic tied a tourniquet around his shattered leg, and he said, "I took a bullet for this country. I lost my leg. And you couldn't sit in a chair for 1 hour?" I didn't have an answer. I still don't. But let me tell you how I became the woman who missed her husband's Purple Heart ceremony to be with his physical therapist. I met Michael Vance when I was 21 and thought I understood what love meant. It was spring in Fayetteville, and I was working at the coffee shop near Fort Bragg. He came in every morning before PT, tall, lean, with these impossibly serious eyes and a smile that took effort but was worth the wait. He ordered black coffee and always left a good tip, even when I messed up his order. "You new around here?" he asked one Tuesday, after I had given him a latte instead of drip coffee for the third time that week. "Born here, actually," I said. "Just bad at my job." He smiled. That rare, real one. "You're doing fine." We started talking. He'd grown up in Virginia, joined the army at 18, done 2 tours in Iraq. He was 26 then, a sergeant, and when he talked about his platoon, there was this quiet pride in his voice. He made the military sound noble, purposeful. I was a barista with a semester of community college under my belt and no real direction. Michael seemed like he had his entire life figured out. We dated for 6 months. He took me to dinner at actual restaurants with tablecloths. He opened doors. He called when he said he would. After the chaos of my early 20s, the guys who ghosted me, the ones who only texted at midnight, Michael felt like stability incarnated. When he proposed, it was simple. We were at Jordan Lake, sitting on a blanket watching the sunset. He pulled out a ring, not expensive but real, and said, "Jessica, you make me want to come home. Will you marry me?" I said yes because I loved him. I did. And because being a soldier's wife sounded romantic in my head. I pictured homecomings and him in his uniform and being part of something bigger than myself. We got married that November at a small chapel on base. His army buddies formed a saber arch. His mother cried happy tears. I wore a white dress from David's bridal and felt like I was starring in my own movie. For 8 months, it was good. Michael would come home from base, smelling like gun oil and exertion, and we'd cook dinner together in our tiny apartment off Bragg Boulevard. We'd watch movies on our second-hand couch. He'd tell me stories about his platoon, nothing classified, just the funny stuff, the human moments. I'd tell him about the weird customers at the coffee shop. It was simple, it was enough. Then came the deployment. Michael left for Iraq in March, his third tour. He kissed me goodbye at Green Ramp at 4 in the morning, holding me so tight I could barely breathe. "I'll be back before you know it," he said. "Write me, okay?" I wrote. Every week, sometimes more, long emails about nothing, what I'd eaten for dinner, a funny interaction at work, how much I missed him. He wrote back when he could. Short messages, always ending with "love you, stay safe." The calls were worse than the silence. When he did call, there were long pauses, background noise I couldn't identify. His voice sounded hollowed out, like something had been scraped away from the inside. "You okay?" I'd ask. "Yeah, fine, just tired." I didn't know how to reach him through the phone lines, didn't know what to say to someone who was living in a war zone while I was worried about whether we could afford to fix the AC. 4 months into his deployment, I got the call. It was his commanding officer, professional, kind. "Mrs. Vance, your husband has been injured. He's stable. He's being transferred to Walter Reed. You'll receive more information within 24 hours. Injured. That word covered everything and nothing. I flew to DC the next day. His mother met me at the airport. She'd driven up from Virginia. We went to Walter Reed together, both of us silent in the taxi, holding hands. When I saw Michael, I almost didn't recognize him. He was unconscious, hooked up to machines. His right leg was gone below the knee, the stump wrapped in bandages. His face was pale, sunken. There were smaller injuries too, shrapnel scars on his arms, a bandage on his neck. A nurse explained it to us in that calm, clinical way medical professionals have. IED, improvised explosive device. He'd been on patrol. The blast had thrown him 15 feet. A piece of metal had severed his leg. The medic saved his life with a tourniquet and morphine. "He's lucky," the nurse said. I looked at my husband's body, broken, diminished, and couldn't find the luck. Michael was at Walter Reed for 3 months. I stayed in DC, sleeping on a cot in his room, then at the Fisher house when they made me leave at night. His mother came on weekends. His father, a stoic man who rarely showed emotion, came once and cried in the hallway. Michael woke up 2 days after I arrived. The first thing he said was, "Jess, I'm here." I grabbed his hand. He looked down at his leg, at the absence of his leg. I watched his face process it. The shock, the denial, the terrible understanding. "Fuck," he whispered. I didn't know what to say. What do you say to someone who's just realized a piece of themselves is gone forever? The doctor said he was handling it well. Physical recovery was progressing. They'd fit him for a prosthetic once the swelling went down. He'd learn to walk again. He'd be fine. But Michael wasn't fine. He was quiet. He'd always been a little serious, but now there was this distance, like he was locked inside himself. At night, he'd wake up screaming, grabbing at his missing leg, sobbing that it hurt. Phantom pain, the doctors called it. The brain thinks the leg is still there, still sending pain signals. I'd hold him during those episodes, whispering that it was okay, that he was safe. But I felt helpless, useless. I was 22 years old and didn't know how to comfort someone through this kind of trauma. By the third month, I was exhausted. Not physically, though I was that too, but emotionally. Every day was the same. Wake up, go to the hospital, watch Michael do physical therapy, watch him struggle, watch him hurt, sit with him during dinner while he barely spoke, go back to Fisher House, sleep, repeat. I missed our life before. I missed the Michael who smiled easily and told me stories. This Michael was a stranger wrapped in pain. I felt guilty for feeling that. He was the one who'd lost a leg. He was the one in pain. What right did I have to be tired? But I was. God, I was so tired. We came back to Fayetteville in November, almost 18 months ago now. Meikle was discharged from Walter Reed with a prosthetic leg, a bottle of pain medication, and an appointment card for the VA. Our apartment felt too small suddenly. Michael moved differently in it, slower, more cautious. He'd bump into furniture, curse under his breath, adjust. The prosthetic clicked when he walked. It was a quiet sound, but I heard it constantly. He didn't go back to active duty. Medical retirement, they called it. He was processing out of the army, waiting on disability payments and figuring out what came next. I'm thinking maybe school, he said one night. We were sitting on the couch, the TV on, but neither of us watching. I could use the GI Bill, get a degree, maybe engineering. That sounds good, I said. He looked at me. You okay? You seem distant. I'm fine, just tired from work. It wasn't entirely a lie. I'd picked up extra shifts at the coffee shop to cover bills while we waited on his benefits. But the truth was more complicated. I was suffocating. Being the wife of a wounded veteran became my entire identity. At the grocery store, people thanked me for Michael's service. At church, they asked how he was healing with these sympathetic head tilts. His mother called every other day to check on him. On us, she said, but really on him. Everyone treated me like I was part of his story now, an appendage. Mrs. Vance, the woman who stands by her hero husband. I didn't feel like a hero. I felt like I was drowning. Michael was dealing with his own stuff. Nightmares every night. Phantom pain that made him scream. Depression that he wouldn't admit to, but that I could see in the way he sat on the couch for hours, staring at nothing. You should talk to someone, I suggested once. The VA has counselors. I'm fine. Michael, you're not. I said I'm fine, Jessica. That was the other thing. He'd shut me out. Whenever I tried to talk about what he was feeling, he'd deflect or snap or just go silent. I understood he was struggling, but I needed him to let me in, to talk to me. Instead, he turned inward, and I started to resent him for it. I know how that sounds. He lost his leg. He had PTSD. He was in pain, and I was resenting him for not being emotionally available, but I couldn't help it. I felt like I'd lost my husband twice, once to Iraq and once to whatever darkness he was living in now. 8 months ago, Michael started physical therapy at a clinic near base. The VA had referred him to continue strengthening exercises and gait training with his prosthetic. That's where we met Ryan. Ryan Mitchell was 32, a civilian contractor who worked with wounded veterans. He was good at his job, patient, encouraging, knowledgeable. He had this easy smile and a way of making the rehab feel less clinical. I started driving Michael to his appointments. The sessions were an hour long, twice a week. I'd sit in the waiting room with a book or my phone, half listening to the sounds from the gym. Ryan's voice giving instructions, Michael's grunts of effort. After a few weeks, Ryan started talking to me during the sessions. "You're welcome to come in and watch," he said one Tuesday. "Sometimes it helps for spouses to see the progress." So I did. I watched Ryan guide Michael through exercises, balance work, strength training, practicing stairs. Ryan was good with him, encouraging without being patronizing. "Looking strong, Mike," Ryan would say. "You're getting that stride smooth." Michael would grunt, focused, and I'd watch Ryan. The way he moved, the confidence in his posture, the fact that he wasn't weighed down by trauma or pain or war. He was just normal, light. After sessions, Ryan would sometimes chat with me while Michael changed. "How are you holding up?" he asked once. The question surprised me. No one asked me that. Everyone asked about Michael. "I'm okay," I said automatically. "It's tough," Ryan said. "Being the support system. People don't talk about that enough." I looked at him. Really looked. He had kind eyes. Civilian eyes that hadn't seen what Michael had seen. "Yeah," I said. "It's tough." That became our routine. Michael would do PT. Ryan would check in with me. We'd talk, small stuff at first. The weather, weekend plans, how long I'd lived in Fayetteville. Then it got more personal. "You ever feel like you're just going through the motions?" Ryan asked one day. We were sitting in the waiting room. Michael's session was running long. "What do you mean?" "I don't know. Like you're doing everything right, but it doesn't feel like your life anymore, like you're just playing a role." I stared at him. That was exactly how I felt. "Yeah," I said quietly. "Every day." He smiled sadly. "Me too." We started texting. It began innocently. He'd send me Michael's progress notes, or I'd ask questions about exercises Michael could do at home. Then it became more frequent, more personal. "How was your day?" "Rough." "Yours?" "Same." "Want to grab coffee sometime?" I should have said no. I knew what that question meant, but I said yes. We met at a Starbucks across town where I knew I wouldn't run into anyone from the base community. Ryan was already there, sitting in the corner with 2 coffees. "Hope you still like lattes," he said, sliding one across. We talked for 2 hours about everything except Michael at first. Ryan told me about his life. Grew up in Charlotte, got his PT degree at UNC, worked with athletes before moving into veteran rehab. He'd never been in the military himself. Never wanted to be. "I respect what they do," he said, "but it's not for me. Too much structure, too much sacrifice." I understood what he meant. The military was Michael's life. Even after the injury, even medically retired, he still thought like a soldier, still watched the news about Iraq and got this haunted look, still wore his dog tags. "What about you?" Ryan asked. "What do you want?" "Not as Michael's wife, as Jessica." No one had asked me that in years. "I don't know anymore," I admitted. "You should figure it out," he said. "You're young. You have your whole life." The way he looked at me when he said it, I felt seen. Not as a soldier's wife, not as a caretaker, just as myself. We started meeting regularly, once a week, then twice. Always coffee, always talking. He made me laugh. He listened when I vented about feeling trapped. He didn't judge me for struggling with Michael's recovery. "It's not your fault," Ryan said once. "You didn't sign up for this." But I had, hadn't I? I'd married Michael knowing he was a soldier, knowing deployment was possible, knowing injury was a risk. You signed up for a marriage, Ryan said, not a nursing job. That distinction felt important, felt like permission. I knew it was wrong. I knew where this was heading, but I didn't stop it. 3 months ago, it crossed the line. Michael had a bad night. Phantom pain so severe he couldn't sleep. He'd finally taken a pill and passed out around 3 a.m. I'd slept on the couch because his thrashing had made it impossible to stay in bed. In the morning, I was exhausted. Michael was still asleep. I texted Ryan, "Can we meet today? I need to get out of the house." Of course. My place? More private. Asterisk, I should have said no, should have suggested the coffee shop. But I said yes. Ryan lived in a generic condo complex off Skibo Road. When I got there, he opened the door in sweatpants and a t-shirt, smiling. "Rough night? You have no idea." He made coffee. We sat on his couch. He asked how I was doing, and for the first time in months, I cried. Really cried about how tired I was, how guilty I felt for being tired, how I missed the person Michael used to be, how I felt like I was disappearing into the role of caretaker. Ryan put his arm around me. "You deserve to be happy too, Jessica." I looked up at him. He was so close. His eyes were searching mine. "This is a bad idea," I whispered. "I know." And then we crossed the line. I won't give you the details. That's not what this is about. But I will say this. In that moment, I felt like myself again. Not Michael's wife, not a caretaker, just Jessica, wanted for who I was. It was selfish. It was wrong. I knew it even as it was happening, but I did it anyway. For 3 months, I lived a double life. I'd wake up next to Michael, make him breakfast, drive him to appointments, come home and make dinner, go through the motions of being a wife. And twice a week, sometimes more, I'd meet Ryan. We'd text constantly. During Michael's PT sessions, while he was doing his exercises, I'd be texting the man who was supposed to be helping him. The irony wasn't lost on me, but I compartmentalized it. I told myself I deserved this, that Michael had shut me out emotionally, so I was finding connection elsewhere, that I wasn't hurting anyone as long as Michael didn't know. Ryan never asked me to leave Michael, never made promises. He was careful about that. This was just something we were doing, an escape for both of us. "You know this can't last, right?" he said once, lying next to me in his bed. "I know." "Eventually you'll have to choose." "I know." But I kept putting off that choice. Then came the ceremony. Michael got the notification 6 weeks ago. He was being awarded the Purple Heart for his injuries in Iraq. There would be a formal ceremony at Fort Bragg. His chain of command would be there. His family could attend. He was excited. I hadn't seen him excited about anything in months. "My mom and dad are coming down," he said. "My sister too. This is a big deal, Jess." "I know. I'm proud of you." And I was. Part of me was genuinely proud. My husband was a hero. He'd sacrificed his body for his country. He deserved this recognition. But another part of me, the selfish, tired, resentful part, felt suffocated by it. Another military event. Another ceremony where I'd sit in the crowd and smile and be the perfect soldier's wife, while inside I screamed. Ryan knew about the ceremony. Michael had mentioned it during a PT session. "Big day coming up," Ryan said to me afterwards, his tone neutral. "Yeah. You okay?" "I don't know." That night, Ryan texted me. "If you need to talk before the ceremony, I'm here." The week leading up to it, Michael was different, more present. He practiced walking in his dress blues to make sure his gait was smooth. He polished his shoes. He smiled more. "This feels like closure," he said one night. "Like acknowledgement, that it mattered, that losing my leg wasn't for nothing." I nodded. It mattered, but I felt myself pulling away. Every time he talked about the ceremony, I felt this irrational anger building. Why did he get closure? Why did he get a medal and recognition while I got nothing but exhaustion? I know how selfish that sounds. He lost a leg. I lost sleep. But emotions aren't rational. The night before the ceremony, Michael couldn't sleep. He was anxious, excited. He kept talking about who would be there, what the general would say. "You'll sit with my mom," he said. "Front row. They have a reserved seat for you." "I'll be there," I said. He kissed my forehead. "Thank you for sticking with me through all this, Jess. I know it hasn't been easy." Guilt crashed over me. Here he was, thanking me while I'd been sleeping with his physical therapist for 3 months. I almost told him then, almost confessed everything, but I didn't. The morning of the ceremony, I woke up with this crushing weight on my chest. I couldn't do it. Couldn't sit in that chair and watch him be honored while I carried this secret. Couldn't smile for photos and shake hands and play the role. Michael was in the bathroom getting ready. I texted Ryan, "I can't go to this ceremony. I can't watch him play hero today. Come here." I should have thrown my phone across the room, should have deleted the text and put on my dress and gone to the ceremony. Instead, I told Michael I wasn't feeling well. "What's wrong?" He came out of the bathroom, half-dressed, concerned. "My stomach. I think I ate something bad." "Should I stay home?" No, this is important. Go, I'll catch up. I just need a few minutes." He looked uncertain. "You sure?" "Positive. I'll be there. I promise." He kissed me goodbye. "I love you." "Love you too." I watched him leave. My husband, in his dress blues, walking on his prosthetic leg to receive a medal for his sacrifice, and I got in my car and drove to Ryan's apartment. When Ryan opened the door, I think he was surprised I actually came. "You're really not going?" he asked. "I can't." He didn't push it, didn't tell me I was making a mistake. He just let me in. We didn't talk much. I think we both knew what this was, a decision point. By not being at that ceremony, I was choosing him over Michael, choosing myself over duty. Around 11, Ryan made coffee. We were in his kitchen when he asked, casually, "Shouldn't you be at the ceremony?" The ceremony. Right then, at that exact moment, Michael was standing on the parade field. The general was pinning the Purple Heart to his chest. His mother was crying. His father was saluting. And there was an empty chair where I should have been. "I can't watch him play hero today," I said. Ryan looked at me. Something shifted in his expression. Maybe respect, maybe disgust. I couldn't tell. "Come back to bed," I said. And he did. The ceremony ended at noon. There was a reception afterwards in the officers' club. Michael texted me around 1. "Where are you? Everyone's asking for you. Still sick. I'm so sorry. I'll be home soon. Jess, are you okay? You promised you'd be here." "I know. I'm sorry. I'll explain later." I silenced my phone. At Ryan's apartment, I tried to pretend everything was normal. We watched TV. He ordered lunch. We didn't talk about Michael. But around 3, my phone started buzzing repeatedly. Michael's mom, his sister, numbers I didn't recognize. You should probably call him, Ryan said. Later. At 4, there was a knock on Ryan's door. We both froze. Are you expecting someone? I whispered. No. Another knock. Harder. Ryan looked through the peephole. His face went white. It's Michael. My blood turned to ice. What? He's here, in his uniform. How? Find my iPhone. The app I'd forgotten about. Michael had tracked my location. Don't answer it, I said. Jessica, he knows you're here. He can probably hear us. Another knock. Ryan, I know Jessica's in there. Open the door. His voice was calm. That was somehow worse than if he'd been yelling. Ryan looked at me. I have to open it. Don't. But he did. Michael stood in the hallway in his dress blues, the purple heart pinned to his chest, the sun behind him making his shadow long across Ryan's floor. He looked at Ryan, then past him to where I was standing in the living room, still in yesterday's clothes. No one spoke for a long moment. Then Michael said, the ceremony was at 11, in case you forgot. Michael, I stood up there, in front of the general, in front of my platoon, my family. And I looked for you, kept thinking you'd show up late. But you didn't. I can explain. My mother made excuses for you, said you must be really sick. My sister called you 4 times. He paused. So I checked your location. I couldn't meet his eyes. Ryan, Michael said, his voice still terrifyingly calm, you've been my physical therapist for 8 months. You helped me learn to walk again. Ryan didn't say anything. And this is how you repay me? By fucking my wife? Michael, Ryan started. I don't want to hear it. Michael cut him off. He looked at me. How long? Michael, please. How long, Jessica? 3 months. He absorbed that. I watched something break behind his eyes. I took a bullet for this country, he said quietly. I lost my leg. I've screamed myself awake every night for a year. And you couldn't sit in a chair for 1 hour? It's always about you, I heard myself say, the words spilling out before I could stop them. Your leg, your metal, your pain. What about me, Michael? What about what I've been through? The silence that followed was deafening. Michael just looked at me, really looked at me, like he was seeing me clearly for the first time. You're right, he said finally. It has been about me, because I'm the one who got blown up. But you're also right that I shut you out. I was drowning in my own shit, and I didn't make space for you. He paused. But that didn't give you permission to do this. I had no answer. We're done, Michael said. I'll have your things packed by tonight. You can pick them up tomorrow when I'm not there. Michael, wait. I don't want to see you again, Jessica. I don't want to hear your voice. I don't want your apologies or explanations. He looked at Ryan. And you're done at the VA. I'm filing a complaint tomorrow. Ethics violation. Then he turned and walked away. That uneven gait, the click of his prosthetic on the hallway floor. I started after him. Michael! He didn't turn around. Ryan grabbed my arm. Let him go. I shook him off. This is your fault. My fault? Ryan's face hardened. You made your choice, Jessica. You came here. You pursued me. And you said yes. Every time. I stood there in Ryan's doorway, watching my husband walk away, and felt my life collapse. The fallout was immediate and brutal. By that evening, everyone knew. Michael's mother called me 17 times. I didn't answer. His sister sent a text. I hope it was worth it. Michael filed for divorce within the week. No contest, no negotiation. He wanted out as fast as possible. He blocked me on everything. Phone, social media, email. When I went to pick up my things from the apartment, he wasn't there. My clothes were in boxes in the living room, my toiletries in a bag, everything neatly packed. On the kitchen counter was my wedding ring and a note. Sign the papers. Don't contact me again. Asterisk, I tried calling from different numbers. He never answered. His friends, his family, they all closed ranks around him. No one would talk to me. The base community, the other military wives, the people I'd known for 3 years, completely ostracized me. I'd see them at the grocery store and they'd literally turn around. Someone left a note on my car. Traitor. Ryan was fired from the VA within 2 weeks. Ethics violation, just like Michael said. Sleeping with a patient's spouse, especially a veteran spouse, was grounds for immediate termination. And here's the thing about Ryan. He immediately distanced himself from me. This is too complicated, he said when I called him, crying after Michael blocked me. I think we should cool it. Cool it? Ryan, I left my husband for you. You left your husband because you were unhappy. I was just there. So that's it? You're done with me? Silence. You piece of shit, I said. You destroyed my marriage and now you're just walking away. I didn't destroy anything, Jessica. You did that yourself. He hung up. I tried calling back. He blocked me too. Within a month of the ceremony, I'd lost my husband, my home, my community, and the man I'd thought I wanted. I moved back in with my parents in their split-level ranch outside Fayetteville. At 24 years old, divorced, unemployed, I quit the coffee shop, couldn't face the questions, sleeping in my childhood bedroom with the same pink walls from high school. My mother didn't hide her disappointment. He was a good man, Jessica. A hero. I know. What were you thinking? I didn't have an answer. My father didn't speak to me for 3 weeks. When he finally did, all he said was, "You broke that boy's heart. I hope you can live with that." I spent most days in my room scrolling through social media, a compulsion I couldn't stop, even though it destroyed me every time. Michael had unblocked his accounts from my old profiles so I could see his posts. Or maybe he just didn't care anymore. 2 months after the ceremony, he posted a photo. Him at NC State's campus, standing in front of the engineering building, smiling. The caption, "New chapter. Thanks for all the support." He'd enrolled in school, was moving on. 3 months after, there was another photo. Michael at a veterans event, standing next to a woman. She was pretty, athletic looking, wearing a team red, white, and blue shirt. She had a prosthetic arm. The caption, "Great meeting fellow warriors. Ran my first 5K since the injury." He'd run a 5K on a prosthetic leg, while I was lying in my childhood bed feeling sorry for myself. The comments on his post were full of support. "Proud of you, brother. You're an inspiration. Keep fighting. No one asked about me." I'd been erased from his narrative completely. I tried dating. Several months after the divorce was finalized, I downloaded a dating app, went out with a few guys. It was a disaster every time. Either they were from Fayetteville and knew who I was, word spreads fast in a military town, or they'd eventually ask about my past and I'd have to explain the divorce. "Military marriage?" one guy asked over drinks. "Yeah, he was Army." "What happened?" "It didn't work out." But he pushed, and eventually I gave him some version of the truth, and he said, "Oh," in that tone. The tone that meant he understood exactly what kind of person I was. There was no second date. The one guy who didn't care, who wanted to sleep with me anyway, made a comment afterward. You're hot, but you've got issues. I stopped trying after that. Ryan texted me once, 6 months after everything fell apart. Hey, how are you? I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed, fuck you, and blocked him. It's been 2 years now since the ceremony. The divorce has been final for 22 months. I'm still living with my parents. I got a job as a receptionist at a dental office in the next town over, far enough that I don't run into anyone from Fort Bragg. I'm still alone. No boyfriend, no prospects. Most nights I come home, eat dinner with my parents in uncomfortable silence, and scroll through my phone. Michael is thriving. I know because I still check his social media from fake accounts. I know. He graduated from NC State last year with an engineering degree, got a job with a good company in Raleigh, moved into a nice apartment. And 6 months ago, he started dating that woman from the 5K photo. Her name is Andrea. She's a Marine Corps veteran, lost her arm in Afghanistan. They post photos together, hiking, at concerts, just living life. Last month, he posted a photo of them at Jordan Lake, the same place he proposed to me. The caption, full circle, luckiest man alive. The comments were full of celebration. His mother commented, she's perfect for you, sweetheart. I wanted to throw my phone across the room, but I didn't. I just sat there in my childhood bedroom looking at the photo of my ex-husband with someone better than me. Here's what I think about now, late at night when I can't sleep, that empty chair. The photo his mother posted is still on Facebook. I've looked at it hundreds of times. Michael standing tall, the medal on his chest, his family proud, and that empty chair with my name on it. Everyone who saw that photo knew I wasn't there, knew something was wrong. That chair is my legacy. Physical proof that when my husband needed me most, for 1 hour, for one ceremony to acknowledge his sacrifice, I chose to be somewhere else. I didn't just betray him that day, I humiliated him. In front of his command, his family, his brothers in arms. And for what? For Ryan, who dumped me the second things got complicated. For 3 months of feeling seen and understood. For the illusion that I deserved to be happy even at someone else's expense. I gave up a man who loved me, who would have done anything for me, who sacrificed his body for his country. A man who was good and decent and real, and I gave him up for nothing. Sometimes I write letters to Michael that I never sent. Apologies, explanations, pleas for forgiveness. I know he's moved on. I know he doesn't think about me anymore, but I need to write the words anyway. Dear Michael, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I wasn't there. I'm sorry I betrayed you. I'm sorry I was too selfish and immature to understand what I had until I lost it. You deserved better. You always deserved better. I hope Andrea makes you happy. I hope you have a beautiful life. I hope you never think about me at all. I'm sorry, Jessica, but I never send them. What would be the point? He doesn't want to hear from me. He's moved on, built a life without me. And I'm here, stuck, living in the wreckage of choices I can't take back. The divorce papers are in a box in my closet. Sometimes I take them out and look at them. The official dissolution of our marriage, signed by both of us and a judge. One line stands out: irreconcilable differences. That's the legal term. But it doesn't capture the truth. The truth is, I broke something that couldn't be fixed. I destroyed a good man on the most important day of his life. I chose 3 months of selfish comfort over a lifetime of partnership. People ask me sometimes, acquaintances who don't know the full story, why did you get divorced? I usually say, it didn't work out, or military life wasn't for me. But the real answer is simpler. I wasn't enough of a person. I was too young, too selfish, too weak to handle the reality of loving someone who'd been through hell. Michael needed a partner who could sit with him in the darkness, who could be patient with his trauma, who could show up even when it was hard. I couldn't be that person. So I found someone who made me feel good about myself instead, someone who listened to me complain and validated my frustrations and made me feel like the victim in my own story. And when the moment came to choose, when Michael stood on that parade field waiting for me, I chose the easy path. My mother found me crying in the kitchen last week, looking at that Facebook photo again on my phone. Jessica, she said, sitting down next to me, you have to stop torturing yourself. I destroyed him, Mom. You hurt him, but you didn't destroy him. Look, she pointed at the photo. He's fine. He's happy. He moved on. That makes it worse. She looked at me confused. He moved on, I said. Like I was nothing. Like 3 years of marriage meant nothing. He just replaced me. What did you expect him to do? Pine for you forever? I didn't answer because the truth was yes. Part of me expected that, wanted him to be as stuck as I am. You need to move on too, my mother said. You need to forgive yourself. But I can't, because I don't deserve forgiveness. I didn't just make a mistake. I made a series of choices over and over, knowing they were wrong. I saw the harm I was causing and I kept going anyway. That's not a mistake. That's character. Last week, I saw Ryan in public for the first time since everything fell apart. I was at Target buying groceries, and there he was in the checkout line. He looked the same, maybe a little older. He was with a woman, blonde, laughing at something he said. Our eyes met for a second. He recognized me. I saw it in his face. Then he looked away, turned back to the woman, said something that made her laugh again, like I was a stranger, like we didn't implode my entire life together. I left my card in the aisle and walked out of the store. I'm 26 now, still young, technically, my whole life ahead of me, people say. But I feel ancient, worn down by guilt and a regret and the knowledge of who I am. I'm the woman who missed her husband's Purple Heart ceremony to sleep with his physical therapist. That's who I am. That's my story. I can't change it. Can't rewrite it. Can't go back to that morning and make a different choice. All I can do is live with it. Wake up every day knowing what I did, knowing what I lost, knowing that somewhere in Raleigh, my ex-husband is building a beautiful life with someone who deserves him, someone who would have been in that chair. Sometimes I imagine an alternate version of that day. I wake up, I get dressed, I drive to Fort Bragg with Michael. I sit in that chair next to his mother and I watch as the general pins the medal to his chest. Michael looks at me from the parade field and smiles, grateful I'm there. Afterward, at the reception, people congratulate him. We take photos together, his arm around my waist, both of us smiling. We go home that night and he tells me, "Thank you for being there today. It meant everything." And I say, "Of course, I love you." In that version, I'm a different person, a better person. But I'm not her. I never was. I'm the woman in Ryan's apartment, making coffee at 11 a.m. while my husband stands on a parade field scanning the crowd for me. I'm the empty chair, and that's something I have to live with for the rest of my life. I'm looking at the photo again now. Michael in his dress blues, the metal catching the light, standing tall on his prosthetic leg. The empty chair right there in the frame, impossible to miss. His mother never took the photo down. Maybe she wanted people to see it, wanted them to know what I did. I don't blame her. Sometimes I wonder if Michael ever thinks about me, if he ever asks himself what he saw in me, what he loved about me. I hope he doesn't. I hope I'm just a closed chapter in his story, a mistake he recovered from. He deserves to forget me. I destroyed a good man on the most important day of his life. I chose comfort over commitment. I chose myself over honor. That's who I am. I have to live with that now. And I will, every day, for the rest of my life. That empty chair will always be there in that photo with my name on it. Proof of the choice I made, proof of who I really am.